Jamming on the one. The second time around, you the only one. You the only one. You the only one. Now that I know you the one. We living in the word like I know the sun. You the only one. Yeah.
You said it's mine for the taking. You blow my mind with this thing called love. You know every move I'm making. You know everything I'm thinking of. And I'm thinking of you all of the time. Oh, yeah. I can't ever get you out of my mind. You are the only one. 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 It was always you from the start. It was always you all the time. I wrote you on my heart. I wrote you on my mind. And I'm thinking of you all of the time. Always. Say it. Oh, you are the only one. You are the only one. You are the only. You are the only one. You are the only one.
Felicia. In the beginning, Yah created the heavens and the earth. His spirit moved upon the waters. It's all in his word. He said, let there be light. And he called the light day. In the darkness, he called night. He saw that it was. He made heaven and called forth the dry land. Gathered the waters, called it the seed. And he made seed for man. Brought forth the grass and every herb and every fruit-yielding tree on this earth. He saw that it was. He made lights to divide day and night times for seasons, days, and years to let them be for signs. And so the earth could have light. He made the greater one to rule the day and the lesser one to rule the night. Let's not forget he made the stars also. Then he told the waters to bring forth life, and it was so. He created all the birds of the sky, all the cattle and every creeping thing after his own kind. He saw that it was. Then Yah created man. In his own image he created them. Male and female he created them. He blessed them to be fruitful and to multiply and to replenish the earth and subdue everything within. Nah, behold, it was very good when he saw what he had made. The even in the morning were the sixth day. And on the seventh day he rested. That's why he sanctified and blessed it. It's uncontested. My God is, and to make it understood, I'm bumping truth music when I'm rolling through my hood. I'm putting God first, no hood fame. You read it on a nameplate. Dwell in the house of Yahweh forever for his name's sake. And though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I'm stomping through like it don't even exist. His goodness and mercy follow me all the days of my life. His yoke is easy and his burden is light. My God is. And to make it understood, I'm bumping music when I'm rolling through my hood. And I was. Do you remember where we're from? Stayed up watching, no time for yawning. Look up at the sky, see that new day dawning. God be my witness, take it as a warning. Sun ain't never lie, great day in the morning. Focus, never let the nighttime revoke it. Blinded by the dark, I seen it before they cloaked it. It was marvelous, they hiding it behind the pulpit. Lying in a sick bed, vying with the culprit. How we trying on the culture, liking how it fit, now we dying with the vulture. At the round table with more nights than Mozart. Caught up in the image of that child on that poster. The light disable the diagnosis, healing the sick. I got the script and the dosage. Take it for the grind, you gon' need it for the borderline. Holla when you see the joy coming, morning time. Keep on keeping on. Morning time. Holla when you see the joy coming. Look, I guess we probably need a nightlight so we can continue to get our hope on. They say we headed for that light, right? Well, I'ma hit them with this photon, with that blazing sword forming like Voltron. When the morning come, they disappearing like Croatan. The Melachine, oh my Elohim, Omicron, sealed with the 70, going out like Yoke and 9. And when I meet my deliverer, I'm set apart. I got peace like a river. If we stay sharp with it, there's a feast on the sliver. We can take part. I advise you play it smart. It's a late start. Let the light shine through the dark. Until the day star rise in your heart, take heart. When you find the door, you'll be more than fine. Holla when you see the joy coming. Morning time. Holla when you see the joy coming.
To receive instant notification each time I upload, please hit the subscribe button and the bell notification.
Helping you along the way. Helping you to make it through another day. Yeah. Everything you need to know that you never knew, that you need to know. Lockhart perspective.
Well, hello and good afternoon. Welcome to everybody. I'm so glad that you guys could tune back in. As you know, I said this morning, I don't think I'm going to come back on unless something happens. Well, I started thinking of a few things. And one of the things that hit me is the fact that we forget about those within our own world, within our own United States, within our own community, and by meaning your own world, that are homeless, that are without. They are everywhere. They're ubiquitous. They could be you. They could be me. They could be somebody you know. But one thing I will say for sure is that in one facet or another, we've all been touched by homelessness in one way or another. And so the part about it that I wanted to talk about it with you all today is the homelessness, domestic violence within homelessness. There's a lot of people who start out in the homelessness trail or the homelessness path simply because of domestic violence, whether it be male or female or children or whatnot. But today's story, we're going to look at homelessness and how it does not discriminate, right? It doesn't matter who you are. And right now, today in America, there are so many homeless people that we come across all the time. So now in the body of this work today, you're going to see a bevy of Creative Commons pieces. And that means that these pieces are used by permission of the uploader, that is for the YouTube. And then we've given all of our credits that are down below inside of the description for all of the work that we're using that would be offline. So we've cited all of our work. And I'm saying that up front specifically because, well, you guys already know why. There's no reason to guess. Nonetheless, I do want to say hello to everyone before we get started. And if you know somebody that's experienced homelessness that may be going through it right now, please utilize Felicia at FeliciaLockhart.com and tell me who they are so that I can pray for them. You don't have to give their name if you don't want to, but I certainly want to keep them lifted up because I, in my past, have been homeless and I know that it's not a good feeling. After my mother passed, as you guys know, I went through some terrible things. And it was at my own hand, majority of it, because I was hard-headed, part of it, right? But then the other part was stuff that I couldn't help. And so I have been that way. I've been homeless. I've been hungry. I've been out there. I've had some things that have happened that weren't so great, but because of the blood of Yahweh Shah, I'm okay. Right. And now I have that compassion to be able to talk to others and share with others. As a matter of fact, let me get this note for you guys because I will be on a show. Matter of fact, I did not think about it, but I will be on Fox Soul. And that will be the Tammy Mack Show. And we're going to be dealing with the impact of secrets. I wanted to share that with you. It will be Wednesday, May the 5th, 2021, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10 p.m. Central Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time. Again, that's Wednesday, May the 5th, Fox Soul, and it will be the Tammy Mack Show. I will be one of the panel guests. So if you can join me, please do. I would love to have you. I'd love to have the support of those who support me here in this effort and on this platform. With that said, let's get right into the hey, y'all. So we got Valiant Effort, Valiant One. I always say Valiant Effort. That ain't never going to change. Valiant One, it was a valiant effort, right? Okay. Hey, Valiant One, good to see you. Resist, he says. Welcome with a lowercase e and then welcome with an uppercase e, whichever one you want. You're welcome so much. And Leaf Desi, how are you? Good evening, beautiful souls. She says, hey, showing back the love. Mars Fool's Gold. It's good to see you as well. And yes, Michigan Watch, I did. And I did go over there to watch that video. It was very unique, very unique. And so good afternoon to everybody. 4.3 in Cascadia, something's brewing. That's the word. That's what it tells us. He can't even post it. Oh, really? Because I saw it over there. I saw not necessarily an interview, but I did hear him talking. So it's that explosive, really? Wow. Whew, well, we know we ain't posting nothing over here because they gave me a hiatus last month. And I'm still trying to pick up the pace from that lost watch hours and everything. So I definitely can understand it. And we know these things are going to happen more and more and more every day. We just have to continue to keep our eyes open, right? And we have to keep our eyes focused on Yahweh, because that's the way it has to be. We have to know that all these things are going to happen. The homeless is going to happen. The Bible even tells us that the poor you're going to have with you always, but there's also mandates that he has for us in the body of things that we're supposed to do for those people who are. So Mr. Leslie says, I'm a resident manager for a program that works with homeless suffering from addiction and mental health issues. You're preaching my life now. Amen. I'm so glad you are here. And Mr. Leslie is one of our channel members, and I appreciate you for being that, sir. Got to give you your shout out all the time. So thank you so much for that. And I'm so glad that you're doing that great work. That is a great work, and it's sometimes a thankless work. But we thank you and we appreciate you for that. And I hope that we're going to do you well, or that you will be able to chime in and talk to us about some of the things that we're going to look at today. Anthony Van Zandt, hello, afternoon. The person that baptized me was homeless. I felt a connection, and his dad was a priest. It all felt right. Oh, that is such a beautiful story. I've been divorced, so pretty much homeless. You see? You understand me, right? That's why I tell the young women, unless they're going upside your head, and there is no there is no getting the situation fixed or together, stay with the youth of your stay with the spouse of your youth. If it's with, if it's all possible to do it, if this person's not darn near, hurting you, killing you, or whatever, stick around, stay there, pray for them, work them through. Because I tell you guys all the time, the prayers that I prayed for my former spouse, he's now living those things out with somebody else, and that's a good thing. He did have some physical abuse issues, but he also had some drug addiction issues. And sometimes those things go hand in hand. All the time he was military, everything was great, and I could kick it with you until you start to, or I got to fight you back. And I ain't gonna be laying down with somebody. I got to get up off me with my chunkles. If I got to put up my dukes to whoop you down to get you off of me, we're gonna have to separate. And so, but if it's not that type of situation, what I try to tell young women is stick it out. Don't listen to other people. Don't focus on what other women tell you that they would do. And if it was me, and if, all this other stuff, stand your tail still. And if you're praying, what are you praying for? If you're not believing that you receive the things that you pray for when you pray for them. What's it all about, Alfie? What's it all about, Alfie? Mars Fool's Gold says, Leaf Desi, this or something better. Yeah. And you also said, Mars Fool's Gold, homelessness and hunger are choices made for the unfortunate by the elite. Preserve your, it looks like, was that, oh, yeah, you ain't joking. You're not joking at all on that one. Thank you, Mars, she says. I mean, thank you. That's a good thing. Exactly. Rich people have big dreams. Poor people suffer to make them come true. And Leaf Desi. So let's get right into this, because again, you see the title says that it's, it's not one of those things where it is it's not prejudice. It's not something that's, colorblind. It doesn't care who you are. It's so ironic that in America, where we had a lot of people saying at one time or another, oh, well, they want to be that way. They don't want to get a job. They don't want to do this and that. I'm so sorry to tell you that right now we are, one of the former channels that I used to be affiliated with, we were talking, and we said it on this platform, but we were chatting about the fact that there are homeless people now lined up in the streets of San Diego. Early in the morning, this content creator stated that she would see vehicles parked at the beach. Well, these vehicles that were parked at the beach were actually homeless people. And in California, there are so many people who get up and go to a job every single day, but they are homeless. And when you think of homelessness, you hear people say things like, yeah, they don't want to work. But now over the past year, is that the same? I don't think it is. I don't think it's the same thing. So let's go on ahead here and get into the screen sharing so that we can talk about the homelessness. We're first going to start with a few statistics. We're going to go in and we're going to read a few paragraphs that get us, line us right up with where it is that we're going. So we're looking at homelessness and domestic violence. Excuse me, as we said a few moments ago, that they do go hand in hand. Oftentimes people flee the home because of physical abuse, and good for them if they do. But what we want to look into is what happens when they get out there. Okay. Homelessness and domestic violence, still linked to this story, is down below in the description box. Domestic violence is often a contributor or a cause to homelessness. Escaping abusive situations means leaving the residence where the abuse is occurring, and sometimes victims are unable to find shelter through friends, family, or available community resources. And understanding the challenges of being homeless and the statistics about homelessness and domestic violence may help encourage victims to plan how they leave, when they leave, what circumstances they leave under, and where they go. The statistics that are here are also listed separately down below in the description, but it does go on to say that 16% of the homeless persons are victims of domestic violence, and that came from the U.S. Conference. Now, this was back in 2013, so it was the U.S. Conference of Mayors 2013, and this was the status report on hunger and hunger and homelessness. Approximately 50% of all the women who are homeless report that domestic violence was the immediate cause for their homelessness. Domestic violence creates vulnerability to homelessness for women and children with limited income resources. Among mothers and with children, homelessness more than 80% had previously experienced domestic violence. 84% of the women have experienced severe physical or sexual abuse at one point in their lives, and 63% of the homeless women have been victims of an intimate partner violence as adults. 33% of those homeless women have been victims of severe assault or in their current recent intimate partner. So now that's basically saying that either they have been a victim or they have received severe assaults by the person that they're with right now. That's terrible. So that means homeless people out there that are homeless, 33% of the homeless people that are homeless as of the date of this publication and the cited source were being abused by the person that they were with and they homeless. Mm. By age 12, 83% of the homeless children have been exposed to at least one serious violent event, and nearly 25% have witnessed acts of violence within their families. Mothers experiencing homelessness have 3 times the rate of post traumatic stress disorder, okay, or PTSD, and twice the rate of drug and alcohol dependency. So that's up to 41%. About 50% of the mothers experiencing a major depressive episode since becoming homeless. They have ulcers at 4 times the rate of other women. Focusing on women on this particular story. So that is a horrible thing. Those are horrible statistics. Nothing to laugh about. But now I couldn't find any stories, which I'm sure they're there. However, it does take at least 1 year to glean information to create a fair assessment of statistics, right? Hello to you there, Wake Up Call Gaming. So good to see you, Gerald. But it does take some time to get the statistics together so that you can juxtapose them to the LY of the year before, right? To last year. And so right now, I wasn't able to pull up anything right now, but I guarantee you this is going to be a whole lot worse than what we think it is. Here's the deal. Right now, there's a comfortable little nest that they're holding people in, and it's a false nest. That nest that's false is holding everybody believing that, okay, the moratorium on not paying the rent, even though they're going back and forth with it, sometimes up, sometimes down, sometimes there, sometimes not there. You couple that with the fact that in a minute they're going to pull that safety net from under a lot of people like they did in Louisiana and other areas. And it's not going to be such a pretty sight as it relates to giving them money and then having a safety net. Follow me with what I'm trying to say. Once that net is removed, we're going to see these type of statistics that are quantifiable go up. Go up. And I believe that Mr. Leslie, I'm not sure if you will concur based on the fact that you're in this industry helping these wonderful souls with this as a problem. Okay. Now let's go on to one of the documentaries that, and it's not just here in the United States. This is not just here in the United States. This is all over the world right now. This is everywhere. I have a sister who lives in the UK. So the things that go on there in London, they mean a lot to me because she's there. Right. And bless the Most High that she's not experiencing that right now. Who's to say, like I said earlier, it could, if it were not for the grace of Yah, it could be me, it could be you. All right. It could be me, it could be you. So her being there means a lot, and that I'm concerned with the stories that take place there where she is. So we are going to, first of all, let's take a look at what happens at some of the homeless shelters when they are there in a homeless shelter and all of a sudden they've got to put their name on a list or wait to come in. I know that here in Alabama, there is a homeless place, and you will see people who are homeless walking around during the day and the night If they're not able to get into the shelter, you see them walking around at night. Those are the backpack kids and the backpack people. In the daytime, they're out and about, seemingly blending in with the rest of the community. However, when you go toward the homeless shelter here, you will then begin to see a drove of people walking with nowhere to go. So it's like droves or packs of people at one time in the day, and they all start taking off walking at the same time, and then they all go back and try to check in. Hopefully they can get a place to stay. Hopefully they cannot. This story that we're going to read is a Creative Commons piece by a content creator here on YouTube. The story is old, but it is a repeat story. It happened about 6 years ago, but the story is repetitive because this is what happens, right? So let's go on ahead and let's check it out. You can see that right there. Let me go here. I think I'm going to go over there. Yeah, because I'm not. Here we are. There we go. All right. So this story, again, is a Creative Commons story, and it's a woman in Austin, Texas. All right. So here we go.
So we're here downtown at the Arch. There was an arrest here and a shooting. They found a man under supposedly the assailant underneath a car. And here we have somebody detained already by APD. It's 8:30 in the morning. I'm supposed to be in court, but I think the lawyer is going to get a continuance. So I'm just going to jaywalk here and take a look at the arrest of a young person. More than one person because there's a paddy wagon.
The link to the story is down below in the description, and it is used by Creative Commons with license to use by anyone.
So are you taking me to jail?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're moving her again. Look at all the rules. The homeless center.
Yes, thank you for doing this. I appreciate this. My name is Monica Bernie Hernandez Ariano. I would like to press charges against this police officer and this police officer. Contact my attorney. His name is Bob Smith, Robert Smith. My mom's name is Minerva Hernandez, 696-2870. I'd like to press charges against these two individuals. If you could please make sure to get their faces. I don't trust them, and I believe that they're going to try and hold me against my will.
And there's no female officer with them. None.
There's no female officer.
I'm not in the way.
I didn't say you were.
They're going to try and keep me.
I said thank you for not.
I was agreeing with you. You don't have to yell.
Get back. Get back.
There's some kind of ride thing. I didn't get that one. I just transported.
Now listen to
There's
what
a
he's
metal
about
bar.
to read.
All right, so if I come in there with a seatbelt, you're going to hit me? Okay. He's going to seatbelt. Glad he got that on camera.
What are your names and IDs, officers?
Yeah, 4951.
Sound 703. Have a great day.
Thank you. 7043 Pisano. So this is how we take care of the homeless. In the morning, the homeless get rousted. At night, they get rousted. If any kind of event comes to town, they get rousted. So normally this is a sleeping area where people sit and wait for the lottery to go into the Arch. But you can't go into the Arch because there's too many people homeless and this rich city can't afford any beds. So it's really a matter of greed is the only reason we have it's the only reason we have homeless is because of greed. God's law, according to the Old Testament, according to my theologian friend, says that we're supposed to give 3% of our income annually to the poor, and it wipes out poverty in the Bible. And any nation or community that does not give 3% to the poor is going to suffer God's wrath. I'm just saying, that's in the Bible. I didn't write that stuff. You look it up.
So a lot of the individuals that you see that go through those kinds of things. So basically, she was screaming, and rightfully so, when she said there's not a female. Well, there's not a female. And I'm not sure if everybody knows it, but generally when a female is arrested, they need to have a female there with them, and they didn't. So she started to scream, obviously, because of something that she knew, or that she was accustomed to happening. And that's the reason why she says, I don't trust him. I believe that something's going to happen. So let's take a look at what happens to a lot of the homeless women, for example, being beat up by other homeless people. Remember, we just read the statistics. So we don't know if the man in this particular story was related to her, or if they were in an intimate relationship, or if they were in a, for lack of better terms, cohabitating together, even though they're homeless. They got someplace they stay. We don't know that, but we do know that this is what happened. And this actually moved one of the bystanders to tears. And again, this is used by Creative Commons. It is down below inside of the description box. And all of the credits are given to this organization and the television channel down below. Here you go.
We begin tonight with a vicious attack outside a supermarket. Good Samaritans jump in to stop the savage beating of a well-known homeless woman. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. I'm Elizabeth Kling.
And I'm Tony Lopez. CBS 13's Steve Large is live in Davis with the witnesses who stepped in harm's way to save her life, Steve.
Yeah, this woman's name is Heidi, and she's known to basically everybody you talk to here in South Davis. She was brutally beaten in this supermarket parking lot, the attack only stopping when people stepped in and ended it. Cell phone video shows a truck pulled over and a man waving people down as a woman brutally attacked lays motionless nearby.
He immediately got in front of my car and yelled, "Help, help."
Mark Hopkins stopped to help and describes what he saw as a vicious attack on a beloved Davis homeless woman already unconscious.
When I pulled up, he was punching her, stepping on her face, and I still hear the sound that it made. It's not like a normal punch. It was bad.
Hopkins first yelled at the attacker to stop, then chased him away.
Shut the f*** up, or I'll stomp on your head.
This cell phone video shows the suspect eventually surrounded, laying on the ground and detained by several Good Samaritans.
And I ran to my car and found this.
Cliff Shepard was there, giving the woman something soft to lay on until paramedics arrived. It was an emotional scene.
The community. Sorry. But, I mean, the way the job was divvied up, some people were tending to Heidi.
Heidi is the 59-year-old woman attacked and now in the hospital, a beloved familiar face on the South Davis streets. Hopkins didn't know it was her when he first pulled up to help. He's often given her food and clothing.
Anybody in Davis knows who she is.
Davis police say the man Good Samaritans detained is Joseph Grankin from Placer County, also believed to be homeless. A brutal attack and a bold response from people willing to risk their own safety, and a move that may have been life-saving. So this woman, Heidi, was taken to the UC Davis Medical Center in Sacramento, where she is now recovering. Meantime, this suspect is facing felony assault charges.
Yeah, brutal attack is right, but what a response. Steve, thank you. Live in Davis tonight.
So that story was one that was
Homicide arrest. The
very
pregnant victim,
sad.
Jalen Quinones, was just 18 years
no, I don't
old.
wanna
Her
hear
baby
this
girl
one.
was delivered afterward, and the family says
That's sad. That's a very sad story too, for another day. But nonetheless, so it's very sad when you consider everything that's going on and how all of the people all over the world are experiencing this terrible, terrible thing. And meanwhile, we have we have unique situations where we're not taking care of the people that are in our own communities, and we walk past people like this every day. I know when I lived in California, it was breaking my heart. It was just breaking my heart because downtown in Los Angeles at that time, now I would imagine it's much worse now. I left there in 2003, so I can only imagine it's much worse. But I remember when we used to go street witnessing, and it was, the people were all around the city hall, all around Los Angeles Police Department that was downtown LA. They were sleeping all on the in front of the bricks, just downtown Los Angeles. I mean, it was so heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking. Anthony Van Zandt says shelters in Toronto, no candy bar, no shelter with opioid city consumption sites, no test, then no opioids. $5 beer store vouchers. If you get a candy bar, and informed consent is nowhere in sight. Wow. Leaf Desi says Midnight Sun talks about the guards doing what you see there on the screen, and that it is terrifying. I can only imagine. Oh, bad stuff happens to women. Yes, it does, especially the women and the children, right? But the women, especially because there's, a lot of times they're able to say, "Here, take my kids to a mom or to a relative or something like that." And then, as Anthony Van Zandt says, as soon as the general homeless population is thinned, then the eviction moratorium is lifted. The middle class will funnel down into park encampments, most assuredly. Okay. Anarchy Television says, you know what else will get your noodle frying? My noodle is, how do you think they, we can look that up, can't we? Felicia, I'm going to send you an email with some crazy stuff happening. Please do. Please do. I want to see it all. Oh, hello, Iron Crane 2003. Wow, Davis is in the same area code as me. Well, yeah, that poor lady, they said that she was pretty well known, Iron Crane 2003, that she was pretty well known, and that a lot of people, obviously, like that man, he was choked up because, they said that he used to give her food and clothing. And then he's probably reflecting on conversations that he and she have had. I've let me just tell you something. You never know who you're helping or who you're talking to when somebody is in that state. And it broke my heart to see how what happened to her broke that poor kind man's heart. Iron Crane 2003, one of our channel members, thank you so much for being here. It's like 17 minutes down the road. Ooh, then that is sad. So are there a lot of people that are homeless like that? Or is, I know some areas are pretty good at being able to sort of, curb their homelessness and maybe have them in a certain areas. There are certain areas that have different mayors that are more caring and giving and helpful and who have that type of humanitarian heart. And sometimes those cities, not knowing Davis's statistics, but some of those cities do have the availability to give a little more. You know what I mean? I know that in let's see. Oh, yes, I remember in Atlanta where they were just shuffling the homeless. They move them over here, and then they get another mayor, and then that mayor says no, they can't stay in the park, and then that another mayor comes and says, oh yeah, they can stay in the park, but until we have an event, and if we have an event, we got to get them out of the park, and then they give them tickets if you can't get out the park here. Now, what are you going to do with a person that can't pay? Just heartless things. But I do blame the church, because there are mandates in the word where Yah explains to us and tells us how we're to treat widows, how we're to treat, the orphans, widows, the homeless, and all of that. There are mandates. But that's not to say that those of us who are here in the chat, that we are not individually doing things. You know what I'm saying? There may be some of us here that are individually or who have in the past done something individually. The problem is that the goal to make everybody unable to help is becoming a rampant thing. But that's another story for another day. Anarchy Television says, see, we the people don't need those dudes. We can do it ourselves. Just with that little camera, if that's the story you're talking about. He had that cell phone there. Abuse by shelter staff on clients is a MSM silent cancer in Toronto. And the individual stories are nightmares. You don't want to be on your face in the faithless material world in silent silhouette. True. Yep, the children get the worst. Yeah, because the poor moms or the dads or however the situation. Listen, this is a very, very toxic problem when it happens. And so by toxic, I mean the toxicity within the body itself because of what you're going through, the neurological problems, the immune deficiency issues, the immune problems. All of these things wear your immune system down. Having to be stressed, having to not know where you're going to be able to sleep tonight, or having a place to sleep but not being able to close your eyes because you don't know what's going to happen. Having children that are tucked close to you but not knowing if they're going to wake up with you, or when you wake up, are they still going to be there? You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of stuff that goes on with these poor souls that we haven't even scratched the surface on, and probably would never be able to scratch the surface in a 1 hour live. We would never be able to scratch the surface. And the thing is these poor people are going through so much stuff that it would blow our minds if we had any inclination as to what is going on. Listen, there are only a handful of places that help with mental health issues. Those places all got closed down. About two. A lot of the state mental health hospitals got closed down 2 administrations ago. Okay. And a lot of those poor people are now wandering around the streets with no place to go. So now you've got homelessness on top of mental health issues. And obviously, sometimes, I should say, not obviously, but more often than not, you're ending up with people who have substance abuse issues as well. And so then it leads them to do other things just to get that fix. So it's like a never ending cycle. It's a never ending cycle. You know what I mean? And so it's like, yikes, it's just, it's terrible. Iron Crane 2003 says, I don't see many homeless in my town. I hear it's an issue in this area, but I don't actually see it despite biking along lots of parks and bike trails. I think it's also because, Iron Crane, what we said earlier is, there are a lot of people who have reported situations like there in California alongside the beaches where you go past the beach every morning and then you see alrighty, bedtime. You sleep well. Iron Crane 2003, sleep well. So you see a lot of people that are at the beaches and you see nice fancy cars. This person said that there were nice fancy cars outside at 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock, just packed up at the beach. Well, a lot of those folks are homeless and they're sleeping there because in their mind, that's the safest place to be. Don't remember what city it was, and maybe my memory will get jogged before we leave. But there was a city that made it illegal to sleep in your car. Go figure. Go and figure. Made it illegal to sleep in anything that moves around. What evil lurks, right? What evil lurks? Okay, Liv Desi says, there were tents in the trees. Wow. Tents in the trees, Liv Desi? Just a block away from where I was living, it grew and grew. Every day, a gal yelled all kinds of things as she walked past my house. Tourette's. You believe that she had Tourette's. Wow. Wow. Alana, hello and welcome. I was homeless for almost 2 years. And so your heart is really there for them, right? Your heart is there for them. It was due to addiction to drugs. Well, I'm glad that you're here right now. I do pray that that does not bother you anymore. And I do pray that, if you're on the path to recovery, that you stand the course. And I believe that you will. And I appreciate you for sharing that with us, right? I think that's really a good form for us to have eventually, is to have a lot of folks come on and talk about their story. Because if it's not really in the face of everybody, oftentimes these are the forgotten people. Here's the irony. These are some of the most brilliant people. But I just told you that I was a homeless person for a minute, right? So, I'm sort of stroking myself. Yeah. But yeah. So there are some of the most brilliant people you'll ever want to meet. Now, I do think that a lot of them right now, just as a positive thing, if you want to just give it a positive spin, they're not having to deal with a lot of the stuff that a lot of other people are dealing with, unless, of course, as Anthony Van Zandt said, they need some type of assistance from somewhere. Hmm. Yeah, then of course, then they're going to be faced with some things. But I think a lot of them got enough sense to say, no way, Jose. They've seen a lot of stuff. They have seen a lot of stuff. I was technically homeless for 10 years, traveling around the country. Well, yeah, that is. That is. Because if anything happened where your income stopped or you weren't able to do X, Y, or Z, then yeah, you are. Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people are living paycheck to paycheck, and they're one paycheck away from being homeless themselves. And that's from Anarchy Television. Most assuredly, it is the truth. It is the truth. And that is the problem that was going on, or that's going on right now when we consider how people are faring with this current situation and some of the moratoriums that are going on all around the United States right now. Now, you had one point where you heard the federal government said, well, the CDC was who they were going by. You can't put them out. Then, okay, you can put them out. And then, okay, you can't put them out. That back and forth is going to leave a lot of people in the lurch. That is going to leave a lot of people in the lurch. Really, it is. Because what's going to end up happening, like I said earlier, is when they pull that rug and that level of comfort from up underneath, those individuals are going to be out there, and there's going to be a whole new breed of homeless, and only God knows what really goes on when they hit the major cities: Los Angeles, Chicago, New York, San Diego, San Francisco. Who really knows? Where do they go? Where do they go? They all can't go into shelters. Where are they at night? What happens to them? What happens to the homeless in Detroit? Where do they go in Michigan? Where are they? Where are they? Questions to ask, looking for answers. It's way more dangerous at night because an earnest witness to each other is being driven into our candy bar crisis living rooms. What a coincidence. Good Samaritans are in short supply these days. Yeah. And the Bible tells us that because the love of many, basically paraphrasing, because the love of many will wax cold, and there will be much more sin that will come on the scene. Sin does abound because the love of many is waxed cold. And a lot of times, whenever you consider why that would happen, it's got to be because of a fear of some type. Thank you for that, Mars Fool's Gold. That's very true. That's very true. Elena says, yes, I feel for them deeply. Thank you. Been clean for several years now. You better go, girl. I know that's right. Give all the praise to Yah. Okay, the homeless, old, ill, and vulnerable is the fingerprints to all that's wrong in the world and where it all just wrinkles out. And yet we're called to stand in the gap for those wonderful dear souls. There's a lot of faithful, brilliant people that have been pushed down onto the curb. Another coincidence. That's right. Anarchy Television agrees with you, Anthony. So the next story that we're going to do, before we'll have a little bit of an intermission, before we go into this next story, I want to give a little bit of an intermission for us to see just a slide of, who it is every day that we walk past all the time. Those that are homeless among us. Okay.
Say today, yesterday, and forever. Came in from the rainy day, stormy weather. I ain't with this masquerade whatsoever.
That was a song by Ronnie Mann. Oh, hello, Ronnie Mann. Looks like you were saying something here. And I had a job and was in school and became homeless. It is one of the most hopeless and lonely feelings. I bless Yah for his hand on my life. Amen and amen. We're going to see that just a little bit longer, a little bit more if we can. It cut off short, and I think it's because the Microsoft people got jealous because I don't use A Music no more. I pulled up my brother's song and put it to this, and so I think they sort of cut it off. But in any case, we're gonna hit it again from the tower. Play it again, Sam. Hold on, we're gonna hit it again. Play it again, Sam. Okay, let's go back. Oh yeah, that's exactly what they did. They cut the music off. Dog hairs.
Say today, yesterday, and forever. Came in from the rainy day, stormy weather. I ain't with this masquerade whatsoever.
Mm-hmm. What they did is they cut Ronnie off. Well, this is really a demonic thing. But nonetheless, homelessness does not discriminate. And that's what I was attempting to say before I was so rudely interrupted by the jealous one who gave me a copyright strike for using their music on a platform they gave me when this was purchased. You can see I am quite bitter, but that's okay. But now, what I do want to show is a homeless documentary. Again, this is a Creative Commons piece, and it's used by permission. The information is down below inside of the description box. Should you want to follow this person's channel, it is a short documentary based in London. Homelessness, a short documentary based in London.
My name's Damo. I've been in this country 35 years. I've been homeless now for the last 10 years. Well, marriage split up, lost the job, made redundant, lost the job. There's nothing there in the town where I was in Newcastle, so I had to come to this place to find work, but it never happened. When I left my marriage, I walked away with just a dog. You know what I mean? That was it. Ever since then, life changed. I've been homeless since, Yeah.
My name's Alan Ferguson. I'm 67 years old. I've been on the streets since January the 19th, 2016. I was originally in a flat in Gosport, down in Portsmouth. My landlord gave me 3 days' notice that he wanted to sell the flat. I've moved out within the 3 days, lost absolutely every possession I own, only to find out that what he'd done was illegal. But it's too late. By then I'm on the street and I can't afford to take him into court and all that. And the flat is still empty now. 4 years later, the flat is still empty. He still hasn't sold it or filled it up with anything. So that's why I'm here.
Augustin Zhelev. I'm 30, and this time I've been on the streets for a month. I'm a web developer. And I was foolish enough to think that I can get the same job faster, but it wasn't the case. Five years ago, I was 6 months in the street. I was a newcomer in London, and I was scammed from a job in Kingston. They were paying under the table, and they didn't even pay, and they fired me, so I got no proof. I couldn't find another job, and that pushed me back to my bad habits. So I started using again, and I decided to stay on the streets, and I was in the trap of the heroin.
All kinds of stuff. Jesus, painting, music, art, origami, poetry, philosophy. I educated myself. Never had a television. So I educate myself. But I'm kind of going blind now, so I can't read as much. I used to love reading, education. When it's summertime, I do pavement art as well. You know, pastels. Yeah, I'll do like a big portrait or something. Poetry or something. Keep this occupied.
I was an artist. I do art. Yeah, do quite well at it as well. So I was, yeah. And that's when I was in Winchester homeless. I was doing really well. I saved up quite a lot of money to buy a caravan, which got stolen off me. But I ended up getting beaten up one morning. My face kicked in by these drunkards, and they tore all my artwork up and everything. So I left it and moved on, sort of thing. But yeah, that's what I used to do for a living, artwork.
I'm from a middle class family. We just had too many wrong choices. Life can be good in Bulgaria, but it's nothing compared to here. 1 hour here equals the salary of 1 day work in Bulgaria. And the prices of the food are the same. In Bulgaria, you have to work like a decent job to survive, and here you can survive on the minimum wage.
Yeah, it was hard the first time I slept rough, yeah. It is for most people, especially with girls. You know, I've seen a lot of young women sleeping rough. I don't think that's right. I don't think it's right. It's an obstacle you got to get over in life. You got to get over it. People say they can't, but you got to. There's no way it can't. You've got to. If you want to survive, you've got to.
Which is like a nightmare. You just don't know what to do. I was wandering the streets and no sleeping bag, no nothing. I didn't sleep for 2 days. Like, I didn't know how to do it, where to do it. I was scared that I'm gonna be robbed and so on.
I slept behind the bus station. I had my little dog with me then. I gave her up 2 days later and gave her to a good family and what have you, but it was winter, it was January, it's freezing, and there was nobody to help. There's absolutely nobody to help. I didn't know about all the places that I know about now, but that was down in Gosport where there's nothing. Yeah, I mean, and there's quite a problem all around the south coast. I mean, it's not just London, it's the amount I've lived in Portsmouth, Southampton, Winchester, and now London as a homeless person, and every time I've been there, it's full of homeless people everywhere you go.
Fingers have fallen off, frostbitten. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah, and I still play the guitar. I was never good anyway. Probably an improvement.
I've been robbed 4 to 5 times, about 4 or 5 times. A couple of drug dealers robbed me and fought me.
In Winchester, I've had my face kicked in, all my nose smashed in at 7 o'clock in the morning by a drunkard. I got beat up by 7 people in Winchester, drunkards that tore all my artwork up. In Southampton, I was beaten up by 3 drunkards. In London, I've been beaten up by 2 drunkards. Yeah, I've had petrol squirted on me, lighter petrol squirted on me by a group of kids up in Whitechapel. Yeah.
Someone that took me from the street to their room, he gave me roofing and tried to rape me. And he was really trying to push me and kiss me. And with the last amount of power that I had, I pushed him and get off.
I nearly lost my life twice. That was bad. Stabbed the side of my head. That was a bad experience. I was in a coma for 2 months. Couldn't remember nothing. Couldn't remember who done it. To this day, I don't know who done it. But that was a bad experience. 2 people pissed out the head, and they hit me with a traffic cone. So I hit them back, and everyone stabbed me. You know, over something stupid. I nearly lost my sight. You know what I mean? Something stupid.
You got all these empty buildings in and around London. doing nothing. Just all these fat cats just leaving them empty. Like they could be, charge £5 a week, even if they only charge £5 a week to a homeless person to have one of them rooms. I just can't understand the logic of leaving it all empty, like, you know what I mean, and leaving people like us out on the street. Because it's not like we're idiots. It's not like we're, violent criminals or anything like that. We're just people that have had a hard time in life. Bang, we've ended up on the street. You know what I mean? There's a chance that you could help them and help. You know what I mean? But they don't. They'd rather walk by. Not everybody that's on the street is a drug addict or an alcoholic or what have you. People are there because of social problems. A greedy landlord in my case. You know what I mean? War-torn people in the soldiers' cases and what have you and other things. The foreign people coming from war-torn places and things like that. It's all about communication. That's what's missing on the street. You know what I mean? And it can happen to anybody overnight. That's the whole crux of the matter. I never in my lifetime thought I would end up on the street. I've seen loads of through my life, but it can happen overnight to anybody. You know what I mean? And if only people become aware of this, like, you know what I'm saying? That's the age we're living in. Yeah, sadly. People need to talk to people. You know what I mean? That's probably the biggest problem we've got is people don't talk to us enough. You know what I'm saying? We spend days and days and days and days without talking to anybody. You know what I'm saying? They're quick to drop off things. Bless them. We're very grateful for everything that's happened. That they help us with. But I'd rather someone stopped the money and chatted with me, because then they become aware.
Oh yeah, shit, you get good and bad in everyone, don't you? Yeah, I got a lot of good people. Always like that. Always like to say hello to me, you know what I mean? Am I okay? Of course. They're not bad. There's not all badness out there. There's a lot of good people out there telling you the truth. I'm hungry, they want something to eat, are you okay? That's nice when you hear that. I'm okay, I'm all right. You sure? Yeah, sure. Well, it's nice just them to acknowledge it. You know what I mean? I'm not just a piece of shit sitting here waiting to die, you know what I mean? Better off dead if you ask me.
Next time you're out and you walk past somebody who's homeless, whether you drop them a pound or whether you just stop and say hello and maybe take 5 minutes, or make a special effort to go out and talk to a homeless person that day, and give 10 minutes, 15 minutes of your life just to talk to a homeless person and find out the story. Rather than a pound, I'd rather someone sat down for 15 minutes and listened to a story and listened to what's happened. You know what I mean? That way, that's another person that will react, you know what I mean, and help. Yeah.
If you want to help a homeless person, don't give him money, speak with him, maybe some food, advices, smile, hug.
Just me, I'm a fighter. I won't give in. You know what I mean? And plus, I got a really good friend. You know what I mean? And the two of us together, like, we take on anything. You know what I mean? So I've lasted 4 years so far. You know what I mean? At my age, so I ain't done bad. Life's a fight for all of us. Like, you know what I mean? Irrespective of who you are, where you come from, life's a fight. Life's a battle. So get on with it. Yeah.
When I look at myself and see what I've become, and knowing what I was and what I can become, this gives me power to hope that I will be a normal person again.
It's going to get worse. It's going to get worse before it gets better. I mean, there's a big thing with the evening stand at the moment. They reckon they're going to try and make homelessness in London a thing of the past in 2 years. Yeah, all right. Yeah, okay. You know what I mean? It's a bit like the plastic thing in the oceans. It's something that it's gone too far. It's gone too far. This should have been tackled 10, 15 years ago.
I don't think we'd be able to change it. I don't think we can change it. I think it's too far gone. There's a lot of ignorance. There is no darkness, just ignorance. And people just open their eyes. William Shakespeare said that. There is no darkness, but there's ignorance.
As you guys can see there, this documentary premiered January 29th, 2021. So this is this year. And to answer one of the questions we had earlier with regards to where the homeless are buried, according to this story, and, in California, I had a friend whose mother refused to claim her body, and they would not allow any of us to do it. So my friend got buried in a potter's grave, unfortunately. Um, Ironically, this young lady was not homeless, but her mother of her religion just said, nope, her body is just a body and she's gone. And so this is where my friend ended in a potter's grave. So as we read through this story, I've gone ahead and I've fixed the video that I had with my brother. So let's see if I can find the new one. There we go. Hopefully this one works better. I'm going to pull it. It's going to click and then I'm going to remove it um, so that I can play it in a second. All right. So let's just get right into this story here. And it is sad, but these are the realities that go hand in hand with what it is that we're talking about right now. This is a story that goes hand in hand with what we're talking about. All right, so this says when a homeless person dies for whatever the reason, they often have no family or friends who can claim their body to ensure they receive a proper funeral and burial. As tragic as that is, it is a common scenario which happens much too often. There are many reasons that a person may become homeless in the first place, but for many, it's because they don't have the same support systems, i.e., the family and friends, that other people have. And this is why so many fall through the cracks of society and end up living on the streets. So, where do all the unclaimed bodies of the homeless go after they die? Are they all buried in the same type of, designated cemetery just for them? Or is their final resting place no different than others? While this topic may be a bit too morbid for some, it's a valid question to ask and something many do wonder about. The truth of the matter is that when a homeless person dies, a number of different things may happen to the body if it remains unclaimed. The first one is, of course, the task of locating the next of kin. The first thing that normally happens after a homeless person dies is an official search for the next of kin. Social workers are often asked or tasked with this role, and they will normally make a series of efforts to find family members who can claim the body and ensure a proper funeral. Sometimes they will even look for friends of the deceased of its established, that if it's established, friends at the homeless shelters. And so they try to find out where they can be located. Now, it goes on to say that if nobody comes forward to claim the body, and if nobody cares who cares about the deceased can be found, if nobody who cares about the deceased can be found, my Lord, then the health department or other responsible departments will then have to either bury the body or donate the body. Bury the body, donate the body, or hold it until a decision is made on what to do with it. The same is normally true in the cases where a family member of next of kin is found, but they simply can't afford to pay for a proper burial. Those who die with no way to fund their own funerals are normally buried alongside those who go unclaimed. The next thing is dealing with mass graves. In most cases, the sad reality is that the unclaimed bodies of the homeless people are normally buried in mass graves in most countries. These types of graves are referred to as potter's fields. In the United States, it's often up to the local state or the local governments to decide what to do with the bodies. There is normally some type of reasonable period of time that they will wait, such as 30 days, for a body to be claimed before it is buried. The method of burial can vary depending on the state, the county. Los Angeles, for example, normally cremates unclaimed bodies and then buries the ashes in a mass grave with a formal ceremony. They normally hold the cremated ashes for a few years before they actually bury them because this allows long enough time for them to collect more and bury them all at once. The number of bodies buried at one time is often in the thousands. In New York City, bodies are put into wooden coffins, which then are stacked together in mass graves on Hart Island. The island made the news at the beginning of the COVID-19 outbreak in New York because it was reported that this is where the unclaimed COVID-19 victims' bodies would be taken to. Smaller counties or cities sometimes may find ways to fund proper funerals and individual burials for unclaimed bodies. For larger cities, there is rarely an option since they simply don't have the funding to do this for the larger amount of unclaimed bodies or those from the indigent, which they are responsible for. Now, there are also the bodies that are located in this paragraph, which are the bodies donated to medical schools. In some cases, unclaimed bodies are donated as cadavers to medical schools where students dissect the bodies in order to practice medical procedures on them or learn about the human anatomy. While many of the cadavers come from people who willingly volunteered their own bodies to be used for this purpose after death, a portion of them are unclaimed homeless that die every year. However, not all places have programs which allow this, and it varies between counties, cities, and countries. In the majority of countries where cadavers are used for medical or scientific purposes, unclaimed bodies make up more of those than the bodies coming from volunteer donors. In the United States, some states or counties have programs similar to this, while others, such as New York, have forbidden it. In the UK, it's been legal for unclaimed bodies to be dissected in this way since 1832, when the Warburton Anatomy Act was passed. Now, unclaimed veterans, in the case of an unclaimed veteran, there are many different factors involved in how they are buried. And when, of course, all of this depends on the country where the veteran served and where they died. In the United States, homeless or poor veterans who die unclaimed or without money to pay for their funerals will normally receive a proper burial after the local government goes through all the steps they need to. First, they need to be aware that the person actually is a veteran. Medical examiners, coroners, or social workers will normally try to establish this when seeking out the next of kin. And if a person is determined to be a veteran, they will normally be buried in a veteran cemetery, either in a plastic urn or a metal coffin, which the Department of Veterans Affairs will normally reimburse for. The Department of Veterans Affairs can also sometimes reimburse for the cost of transporting the deceased and burying them. It may be possible for responsible parties to be reimbursed for a tombstone as well. If a veteran is buried in a private cemetery, the local government department or administrator who handles unclaimed burials must normally file forms through the VA department for all of this to establish if the deceased person is eligible for this type of assistance. Finding an ungraved graves an unmarked grave site for after a homeless person dies who goes unclaimed, well, whether they're cremated or not, it can be extremely difficult and normally impossible to find a grave. However, keep in mind that unclaimed doesn't necessarily mean they were buried anonymously without having been identified. While many homeless people do die without any identification on them, the majority of those that go unclaimed are at least identifiable and have had other names and dates of birth recorded in documents before being cremated or buried. Oftentimes, family members are able to find where they're buried by simply finding out who is in charge of the unclaimed burials in that city. in many cities, it's the medical examiner who deals with this, but in some cases or in some places, it's not always clear who might be there to handle the issues. In New York, for example, it's the Department of Corrections who handles the burials, since that's the department that manages the island where they are buried. And if you're looking for a homeless family member, the story goes on to say, or a friend who may have died and whose body was not claimed, then your best bet is to contact the Department of Social Services in the area where you think they may have died, and they can tell you how what you'll need to do to find or to contact those individuals who have handled the situation. All the references to the story are located here, and this link will be down below inside of the description. Again, it is a public story that it was written. Let's see the date here. Looks like it was 2020. So this was September of 2020, obviously talking about the COVID-19 and the homelessness and all that stuff that took place there in large cities like Los Angeles as well as New York. So that is the gist of it. It's a very sad situation. It is a very taxing situation when you consider that our country, and then the countries like the UK that we just got through seeing, these are countries that have, resources, and we are so irresponsible with those resources that we do not understand the importance, or we just don't care as a nation, of taking care of our own people first. This is not something that's going to go away. As a matter of fact, I submit that it will exacerbate and get far worse long before we could ever imagine it getting better. My prayer is that we remember and that we understand that if not for the grace of Yah, there goes I, there goes you, and there goes our family members. Let's make sure that we do everything that we can to help someone. One of the most important pieces that I heard from one of the gentlemen who was being interviewed was that he said, more than money, I wish someone would just stop and talk to me. Can you imagine just wanting somebody to simply talk to you? He said he felt like if people were to speak to him, they would understand that he's not just a nobody, that he had, basically, I'm paraphrasing here, he had a past. There are things that he liked to do. Find out something about him. If you want to feed them, that's good. One of the guys said, no money, just, talk. And if you want to get me some food, then that's fine. And a lot of people do realize that when individuals who are now homeless have gotten that way because of a dependency on a drug, oftentimes you will find them say, don't give me money, feed me, just give me some food, because they understand that money for somebody who does have dependency problems on drugs, it could be lethal for them, right? So let's look at a few of our comments before we close out. Anarchy Television says, yep, it's going to get worse for all before it gets better. Leaf Desi says, the system is against Christ and Yahweh. They act like prayer is a mental illness. Do you understand that? That is so true, Leaf Desi. Mars Fool's Gold said, it's a bit like the plastics thing in the ocean. Now Japan wants to dump millions of gallons of that stuff. So much for living on a boat. The atheists rule the mental health sector. Yeah, because they don't believe. They don't have any reason to believe, right? Oh, you rock too, Anarchy Television. Okay, so Anthony Van Zandt says, what good are millions of city CC cameras if they don't dispatch outreach advocates? How come there's no robot dogs delivering food to the homeless? Yet they'll chase you down, no problem. Absolutely. Homelessness matrix and numbers are as hidden as the Federal Reserve numbers. Go figure. Tech can find every familiar member on earth or family member on earth, not that they're looking for. And if the government calls it Heart Island, beware. Whoa, that's a true statement. I mean, it's something definitely to think about. So I think I was able to fix the video that, I'm adamant that I'm going to play it. And I hope it does play all the way through. Looks like it said it would. We'll check it out. If not, we know it's some jealousy going on, right? So we're going to listen to this song that was written by Ronnie Mann. We're going to play this. We're going to play some clips again. All of the photos that are being used here are again in constant. I'm thinking of T. Creative Commons, and there are the attribution is inside of the description. So let's just get right into this.
Say today, yesterday, and forever. Came in from the rainy day, saw me weather. I ain't with this masquerade. Say today, yesterday, and forever. Yeah. Say today, yesterday, came in from the rainy day, saw me weather. Look into your heart. Look into your soul. Masquerade whatsoever. If you never let it go, yeah, I guess you'll never know.
That extra beat was not Ronnie. That was Microsoft with their jealous self.
Yeah. They took away the peace, my brother. They getting away with it when the news spin it. They have their way with it, hypocritical. The end game parasitic. If they stick with it, they name get omitted out the book. They cooking up lies to have you shook. Realize things ain't always how it look. Mass deception, obsessed with subliminal misdirection. My eyes on the prize as they spell out the lies they proceed to tell. In a dream where the schema they see prevail. Talk about change, we got to do it ourselves. If I said too much, it's better than saying nothing.
Okay, so we're going to get this right. And I'm going to keep using it until I get it right because they don't run me. And that's, imagine me with my little pretty red patent leather shoes as a kid, stomping my foot. They don't run me. Yeah, that's right. Well, you guys, it's been about an hour and a half, and I appreciate you all for sharing the last hour and a half with me. Thank you for each and every one of our channel members that joined us today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate you for being here. Yeah, you know what? I love those jams as well. I'm just a little mad because again, it's like the little gremlins. It's the gremlins that get inside of there and start working things. But it's okay because we're gonna get it right. And as a matter of fact, I think that's only music I'm gonna start using going forward. I know that I use some of Kevin MacLeod stuff, and I do give that the attributes, and then obviously Ronnie Mann, because Brother Man is the man, right? So you guys take care of one another, take care of yourselves, and remember what we always say here on this channel, that man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of the Most High Yah. You take care of yourselves and take care of one another. To receive instant notification each time I upload, please hit the subscribe button and the bell notification.
Helping you along the way. Helping you to make it through another day. Yeah. Everything you need to know that you never knew, that you need to know. Lockhart perspective.
Do you remember where we're from? Stayed up watching, no time for yawning. Look up at the sky, see that new day dawning. God be my witness, take it as a warning. Sun ain't never lie, great day in the morning. Focus, never let the nighttime revoke it. Blinded by the dark, I seen it before they cloaked it. It was marvelous, they hiding it behind the pulpit. Lying in a sick bed, vying with the culprit. How we trying on the culture, liking how it fit, now we dying with the vulture. At the round table with more nights than Mozart. Caught up in the image of that child on that poster. The light disable the diagnosis, healing the sick. I got the script and the dosage. Take it for the grind, you gon' need it for the borderline. Holla when you see the joy coming, morning time. Keep on keeping on. Morning time. Holla when you see the joy coming. Look, I guess we probably need a nightlight so we can continue to get our hope on. They say we headed for that light, right? Well, I'ma hit them with this photon, with that blazing sword forming like Voltron. When the morning come, they disappearing like Croatan. The Melachine, oh my Elohim, Omicron, sealed with the 70, going out like Yoke and 9. And when I meet my deliverer, I'm set apart. I got peace like a river. If we stay sharp with it as a feast on the sliver, we can take part. I advise you play it smart. It's a late start. Let the light shine through the dark. Until the day star rise in your heart, take heart. When you find the door, you'll be more than fine. Holla when you see the joy coming. Morning time. Holla when you see the joy coming. Do you remember where we're from? Pray you strength to carry on. They trying to take my inheritance, this arrogance. I'm trying to save them the embarrassment. I spit truth, they forgetting what the marriage is. The meek shall inherit the earth, the rest perishes. They taught us all to listen to Balaam, with they palace and they caliphate. I'm destined for Salem, man, they rest is counterfeit, plus it's destined to fail them. Shake the dust off this city, man, who coming with me? There's a light at the end of it. I see you shine, getting life with the benefits. That's me and mine, holding fast to the legacy, whether the rain or shine. Do you remember where we're from? Pray you strength to carry on. Will you step into the sun? Do you remember where we're from? Pray you strength to carry on. Will you step into the sun?
today, yesterday, and forever. Came in from the rainy day, stormy weather. I ain't with this masquerade. Say today, yesterday.
Child, I tell you what, we tried to do it anyway. We will definitely look into that Anarchy Television. That is something very good to break down, and we will definitely do it. You guys take care, and I appreciate each and every one of you. Have a great night.